Welcome to Words for Wednesday for September 22nd. I am Randy Pierce of 2020 Vision Quest, here celebrating the arrival of autumn today. And I celebrate the arrival of many new things with a little bit of hope and positivity and anticipatory enthusiasm, which sometimes mean I get set up for a little bit of a setback. And I think we all can experience setbacks in many ways, from mild to sometimes harsh along our journey. And how to handle that? Well, Friday, I experienced a minor setback in the grand scheme of things. I'm getting ready for the Boston Marathon, where I thought I would be competing with my peers in the totally blind world. But it turns out they had to make some adjustments, and there will be a visually impaired division that I'm competing in. But that brings in some people with a fair bit more sight, still very challenged, obviously, but it changes the dynamic of the competition. And when I first found out, I was a little disappointed and a little bit frustrated. And how do I handle that setback? Well, obviously sometimes in the moment you just experience it. But Steve Harvey has a quote that I think is really valuable, which is that your setback is just a setup for your comeback. And that implies, appropriately, a little bit of accountability, a little responsibility for how are we going to respond. Because I think it's always true that whatever may happen to us, we have a choice in how we're going to respond to that. And that choice is going to generally lead to how we're going to look forward from that situation and how we're going to feel from that situation. We influence the results of what are going to happen to us from that point forward. And I think that in my case, what I had to do is be a little grateful, have a little appreciation for the fact that there's a visually impaired division at all, have a little appreciation that my health has been generally pretty good since a pretty significant surgery on my abdomen in the spring, and then to take some action. I started listing out, who am I competing with and what are their times and what am I expected to do? Because really what we're all trying to do is be the best version of ourselves possible. And, in my case as a mountain climber, I like to call that peak potential. And I know that I've got a great guide and we're set up to do what I hope will be a very strong performance. And that's what I'm gonna set out to do. Now, how about on more serious setbacks? Well, find the actions you can take to return yourself to the forward progress that you expected. And when you start taking that action, you start putting distance between yourself and that setback. And that's where I feel I'm racing today, is towards better mindsets. And even in the most severe things, like when I went blind, a pretty big setback. As soon as I started putting my focus on what can I do to respond and move forward, well, now I'm living and thriving in ways I never expected. And I think that can be true for all of us. So I hope these Words for Wednesdays on turning a setback into a comeback can help you and all those you might choose to share us with. Have a great day, and until next week, be well.